This is Brian Wickman with MP Systems, and today we're going to talk about the drop zone. Dropped objects result in significant injuries all the time in the construction industry. Anytime overhead work is being conducted, there's a real risk of materials or tools falling from the elevated position. Traditionally, we consider the area immediately underneath the load the drop zone, but in reality, the drop zone is way bigger than that. It is often underestimated by the crew just how big it is. If an object deflects or bounces off something on the way down, it could easily land 20, 30, or even 50 feet away from the bucket. So give yourself the room and keep everyone back in safe distance based on the height that you are working. If you're higher up, the drop zone will be even bigger and the force will be even greater if an object falls. So first of all, let's talk about planning. Before even performing aerial work, go over the job brief with the crew and identify all the risks. Is there any public risks such as a bike path or a sidewalk? If so, you'll need to take action to protect the drop zone from unqualified personnel through a combination of barricading, signage, or spotters. Are you going to be handling large or awkward objects in a bucket? What is the plan to secure it so it doesn't fall? Should you lay it in the bucket, or would it be safer to use a digger or jib on a bucket? If you're using a winch line, be sure to inspect your rigging. Make sure nothing is damaged, that everything is rated to handle the weight that you'll be hoisting, and this will be used properly. Never stand beneath a suspended load. Rigging can and does fail. You don't want to be underneath it when it fails. It doesn't have to be a large object though. Small tools and materials can cause serious injury if dropped. Drive it home during the job brief that when aerial work is happening, there's no reason to be in the drop zone. Don't try to be mounting a sign to the pole or be driving a ground rod or cleaning up debris. Whatever it may be, it can wait. None of this stuff is so critical to put yourself in harm's way, so stay back. There will be times when necessary for a groundman to be in and out of the drop zone to run hand line or hand material up and down. But before this occurs, communicate with the crew and look and make sure all overhead work is stopped and all tools and materials are secured. Other things you can do to prevent dropped objects: use tool lanyards as much as you can where it doesn't create a hazard. It saves the tool and it could save an injury if you're ever lost control of it. Work over your bucket whenever you can. That way small materials have a chance to fall into the bucket than rather falling to the ground. Keep tools and materials inside the bucket when possible. When things are hanging outside, if a grip or something gets caught while you're booming around, it could get lifted out of the bucket hook and fall to the ground. We have some bucket hooks with retainer clips, but it's not a guarantee. So keep in mind when you're loading the bucket and keep everything you can in the bucket. Talking about the bucket, maintain good housekeeping. If you can get extra tools and material out that you don't need, that's one less thing that could fall to the ground. This is especially important if you're working on an aerial lift. Those things have open sides and can get kicked or knocked out, so you have to be especially careful to secure materials when using aerial lifts. Don't throw tools and materials up and down. Half the time it takes multiple tosses anyway, and a wild toss or drop could result in an injury or damaged equipment. Last thing, personal safety is the most important thing to remember when talking about the drop zone, but don't ever work over the top of parked cars, trucks, or equipment. Clear the drop zone of everything and everyone so in the event that something falls, no one gets hurt and nothing gets damaged. Even if there's just a ladder or not very far off the ground, always stay back because you never know if something might come down. Thanks for watching and be safe.